Yo, it's Friday. Happy Friday, everyone. Welcome to the JRooneyShow. It's episode 19 already. And you know what? I want a Robo-Doc. Have you ever went to a doctor for one thing and thought, since I'm here, I'll ask about another, only to find a charge on your bill for simply asking that question? Then you ask the accountants or billing people what the charge is all about. And the response is something like, well, the doctor entered a code and the code costs X amount. So you call the doctor and ask, yo, what's up with this charge? And they say something like, when people ask specific questions with keywords, we enter them into the EMR as a number, and then they try to act like they didn't even know you'd be charged. And you know they know. They know that we know they know. And still, and still they do that. And book after book after book has been written about the quality of care given to people based on a person's social economic status. And when this happened to me, I could not stop thinking about that. And if they sized me up, they looked at my address and they were like, "This dude's poor, and we're just gonna get him in and out." I don't know. Perhaps that's what was going on here. Or remember going to a doctor before facility fees? I swear the cost went up 50% when they added those facility fees to our medical bills. Unbelievable. I have an eye disease in my 20s. I could get 3 bottles of eye drops for 20 bucks. Now it's $60 for one bottle, and they won't even give you 3 bottles at a time. Patients have questions about costs. How should physicians respond? That was the title from a blog that's a couple years old now, but has resurfaced due to its relevance. I read it in the advisory board just yesterday. It says, it's official. Healthcare costs are a hot topic in the press and among patients, no longer a subject reserved solely for economists and policy wonks. It's no surprise given the stories of patients across the country who have been surprised by this exorbitant medical bill, such as the history teacher in Texas who got that $110,000 medical bill for a heart attack, or the Vermont skier who had to pay $20K just for a broken leg. And these cases are not uncommon. In fact, in 2018, a survey showed that 50% of Americans have been surprised by a medical bill. Beyond one off surprise medical bills, patients also face increasing day to day healthcare costs. By just one measure, nearly 20% of patients have asked their physicians for lower cost medications, and 11% of U.S. adults have skipped doses of their medication to reduce those costs. And I personally have unfortunately have done this and still do it. Patients want to talk about healthcare costs, but physicians are not always ready. What does this mean for your physicians? Cost is now the elephant in the exam room. Although research shows 70% of Americans want to have cost of care conversations with their providers, only 28% report having these conversations. One reason is that physicians don't feel equipped to bring the topic up with their patients, or to navigate it when patients bring it up themselves. I am that guy that always brings it up, and I can tell you, they look like deer with headlights on them. Another reason is that many health systems have not yet clearly defined a physician's role in cost of care conversation. We, and they say they're certainly not arguing that physicians should become financial advisors. However, we do think physician leaders need to take a well-articulated stance on physicians' role in the cost of care. So once again, they do think they should take a well-articulated stance on physicians' role in the cost of care conversations with their patients, and then prepare physicians to step into that role. They do they do this in a couple different ways, or they're trying to do this in a couple different ways. And one is to establish a point of contact for the patients with their financial questions. Providers often do not know where to send their patients who have cost of care questions, which is also another problem. At a minimum, organizations should ensure their physicians are aware of internal financial services for patients, so physicians can direct patients to the right point of contact in a respectful, sensitive manner. Another way they could do this is equip the physicians to proactively start the cost conversations. Studies show that while most patients want to discuss cost, many are uncomfortable initiating the conversation. In fact, many patients assume that asking about cost could decrease the quality of care. And you know what? That's because it damn well might. Once again, Seriously, there are so many books out there that talk about this. I literally just read a book last year. At the end, it talked about what was it was why zebras don't get ulcers. The last few chapters were all about how the cost of care, how healthcare companies and doctors dog you based on your address and your social economic status. Um, Same with oh, I'm drawing a blank. I'm sorry. There's another gentleman who passed out there who used to talk about this all the time. Carl Sagan. Carl Sagan. He wrote a lot of books. In fact, I got a book sitting right over there. If you're watching this on TV, something Demon of the Haunted World. I'll put it in the description. He also talks about how most healthcare providers will eye you up and look at things like your address and where you live and determine what type of care you should get. So that's why people are afraid to ask. If you've never experienced that, well, lucky you. Maybe it's because they sized you up and thought that you deserved a better quality of care or that you had more money or whatever. Um, that's how the world works, whether you like it or not. Some people experience this, some people don't. It's like racism. Some people have experienced it, some don't. We all question things that we have not experienced ourselves. That's human nature. So back to the article. You can address this issue by training your physicians to take the lead on these conversations. Physicians can proactively offer to refer patients to internal services such as financial counseling and payment plans. Trust me, man, as someone who's been poor their whole life, if I can't afford to go to a doctor, I can't afford a payment plan either. But whatever, back to the article. With this approach, there's good news for time-pressed physicians. Research shows that these conversations often only take a minute. So hopefully doctors will start having these conversations more with their patients. And personally, I haven't gone to a doctor since I got charged for asking a question. I I try to take really good care of myself, and that's part of the reason I do so is so I don't have to go to the doctor. It's part of why I'm really into the primal lifestyle. It's part of why I try not to eat too many sugary bad foods, and I definitely don't let myself have processed carbohydrates like wheat products in my food. And if you listen to my news piece this morning, the Rooney Bin edition, um, you would have heard that the cost of wheat is still going up and how I think this is a really good time for you to consider stop eating wheat products. And I know that'll really flip your diet upside down, and without digressing too much into that, because we're talking about Robo-Doc here and not our diets, which I'm really passionate about, obviously. Um, but yeah, something I really think you should think about is getting off the processed carbs. And I think you'll find that you can actually go longer without eating. Isn't that crazy? They put you on an insulin roller coaster and you get hungry quicker when you eat wheat products. You don't need to eat as much as you think you do, and it'll be a lot easier if you just get off wheat products. So anyways, I think the reason many have a problem talking to their doctor is that doctors also walk around on eggshells fearing negligence and losing their job for not doing what the corporate leadership said to do. That's another part of the problem that I feel like I've personally experienced. Um, I don't think you do something like a Jay Rooney show, right? If you don't have opinions and if you're not outspoken and if you don't have the confidence to speak up for yourself, right? I am totally the dude that speaks up for themselves, especially when I feel wrong. And because of this, they only say what they have to, and to me that's like a robot. They have no personality. And maybe that's from seeing sad things all the time. I don't know, but maybe that's why we should have a robot. After learning these lessons going to the doctor, I always ask to be connected to the billing people and tell them why I want to come in to see a doctor and find out how much it's going to cost before I ever even go in there. And the first thing I say if I do go to the doctor is a question asking about questions. Yo, doc, am I allowed to ask a question about something unrelated to our appointment? Or are you going to charge me for that? And you know what? That last time I did go to the doctor, at least the dude was honest with me, and he was like, "Yeah, man, if you ask me certain questions, I have to enter it into our system, and you'll get charged for it." So I don't know. I think doctors should play more of a physician's assistant nurse type of a role to an AI doc, to a robo-doc, honestly. I think specialists and private doctors and the best of the best docs who are open to discussion and do not walk around like robots should remain. I'm really just talking about the typical cookie cutter doc that you see at a large corporate doctor's office. The robo-doc will come fully loaded with not just medical protocol, but the financials as well. They tell you only what they're programmed to tell you, and I feel like That's how most doctors are now anyways, but the Robo-Doc will be able to text and email you all the paperwork from your visit instead of you walking out with that paper. Amazon and others have been trying to get into this game forever. Not only will Robo-Doc be able to fill your prescription for you while emailing you, if you have a broken bone or something that requires a harness or some other device, Robo-Doc will be able to order it for you right there. They'll be able to fill out your patient cards right there. The Robo-Doc will just see you as a number, and your personal medical records, in my opinion, will be a lot more private as well. So there are some benefits to the Robo-Doc, even though I'm usually not uh, a strong advocate for robots. Really, I'm kind of scared of artificial intelligence. I'm sure you've noticed that I'm really into it. On my first episode, I talked about a book I'm reading called Superintelligence. I did another episode on brain emulation, which is, a lot of folks are studying how the human brain developed and trying to see how we can mimic that in artificial intelligence. It's crazy stuff. Check it out. The book Superintelligence. It's a great book. In fact, if you're watching this, I got it right here. Awesome book. Doing these Rooney shows don't give me as much time to read that as I normally would. Anyways, I'll get through it and we'll do a show on it. Um, but, everything could be done for you. And how many of these appointments could be done from home? Could this lower the cost of care a little? I'm not sure. I definitely hate advocating for job loss, but that is the way of the world. We also discussed this on a previous episode. As time progresses and we develop new technology, some industries will be left behind as new ones emerge. And as technology progresses faster and faster, more and more jobs will be disrupted. So without getting into details of what I do for a living, trust me when I say I know of products doctors use now that are already they're software products that are already referring them to what to do, especially when they don't know something or if they need a little bit of guidance. Everything they do is pretty much guided by a software program. Remember, most of these cookie cutter doctors are practicing doctors, right? We could easily replace them with a Robo-Doc. The next 100 years will be interesting. Some say the days of the transactional lawyers are numbered, like many other jobs. Maybe the doctor's days are numbered as well, or at least the cookie cutter corporate doctor. I don't have anything against doctors. I just think their customer service sucks. They blindside you with charges, and for the most part, they play dumb to it until you let them know you're wise to it. I think they're overrated in our society. Once again, not the specialist, the good old family practitioner. I don't get it. What is the point? Especially if you're taking care of yourself. If you're eating healthy, you're exercising, you're making sure you're getting sleep, you shouldn't need a doctor that much anyways. I explained to you in my beef episode on Monday, all the issues I cured was simply just a diet. Look up Jordan Peterson and the hundreds of other people. Harvard is literally doing a study right now on why beef heals people, why people on like these carnivore diets, how they keep beating all these chronic illnesses from stop eating all this stuff and just start eating meat. Well, we know that without meat, our brains would have never developed the way they did. It's because meat, we're so intelligent. It's because meat, we have, our brains develop so fast. Sorry, I could keep going down these health and nutrition tangents all day. Just take care of yourself, people. Please. I don't like playing games with my health. If you can't tell already, don't mess with my health. I've had people mess with my health. It's not cool. Pisses me off. Give me a Robo-Doc that focuses on my health and keep it straight with me. You don't tread on me, I won't tread on you. About that Gaston life. However, medical universities and institutions currently in place will do all they can to prevent Robo-Doc. Think about how much money they would lose. Again, I'm not advocating to completely eliminate the doctor. I'm saying they should be following the Robo-Doc's lead. Someday, and it's a matter of when, not if, we'll have universal health care of some kind. Just take a step back for a second from politics and forget about how shitty our government is for a second. And just think about this. How does a country like America not have a plan to make sure every American has health care? If you truly are a good person, and I believe most people are, in fact, I'm willing to say probably 95% of people are good people, but anything beyond this is just semantics. It just is. I don't believe and I know a lot of people out there are shaking their heads. And see, I don't believe our current government has the moral fortitude to overhaul our health care and give all Americans a plan. Instead, I think they should provide a very basic plan for those who don't work or who want the government plan. I think we should still have private options. And of course, like everything else, this will have its own consequences, I think evident from the COVID money. One thing that I thought of when I was thinking about this is when you give people stuff, they don't want to work. If you give people who already don't want to work free healthcare, they definitely won't want to work. And I brought this up with some people today, and they were like, no way, we'll never have universal healthcare in America. And, I agree with their premise. I really do. Um, and I'll even take that a step further. I think based on how our government handled the pandemic is all the proof you need that not only can't they shouldn't take away private health care. It's really sad how poor our government is run, especially something like a pandemic that they were planning for and had plans in place and should have been prepared for forever, right? Like when that happened, they should have had protocol in place and knew exactly what to do, and they failed us. And even assholes like Bill Gates did TED Talks. I think what was it, 10 years ago? He did a TED Talk all about how a pandemic was going to flip the whole world and our country upside down at some point, almost as if he knew. Fucking Bill Gates, man. Bill Gates and the Amazon dude, Jeff Bezos, think about this for a second. I'm definitely going down another rabbit hole tangent here. Sorry, I've been digressing a lot today. It's Friday, and I'm fired up for the weekend. But, Seattle had a lot of homeless issues, right? At once upon a time, we had Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos not only living in the same state, same city, but the same damn neighborhood right down the street from each other. The most money in the entire world right there on that street. What did they do in their own neighborhood? Nothing. Nothing. How involved are these people in healthcare? Quite a bit. Bill Gates is involved in everything. That guy's got to go. I'm sorry. Anyways, back to the show. You know, so our government, they can't handle healthcare, no doubt. However, a big part of me thinks it is inevitable due to the demand and population size. It's hard to imagine the future. We all thought once upon a time we'd have flying cars, but as it turns out, nobody actually wants flying cars flying around, right? Look at the drones. People literally will sit in their backyard shooting down drones, and a drone is tiny. Imagine cars flying around everywhere. Time tells all. We'll see. We'll see if we ever get the Robo-Doc. Have you seen the movies Elysium and Prometheus? I also believe Passengers had something like this too. A chamber that you essentially lay into, and it would run a diagnostic and then diagnose you, gives you medical procedure if need be, provides medication, and lets you know what to expect. It's coming, yo. It's coming. Probably long after I'm dead. Maybe our grandkids. Maybe their kids. Monday through Saturday. Rumble on YouTube. JRooneyShow.